welcome to this webinar of IC. So we start a new session of regular webinar. So we are going to do that several times each year, and we are going to talk about different subjects. Today, the subject is really focused on industrial plants, and the thematic is accurate finished good warehouse, a crucial issue for industrial plants. So we have customers of IC in the world, we can say, in Europe and also in North America, and some of them are located in warehouse of dedicated to finished good. And so our customers share a lot of things with us, and they say how IC help them to be more efficient and to increase their productivity and what is their return on investment and etc. And so my focus today is really to share this with you. So we have several use case and example we are going to share with you, and we are also convinced that we bring a lot of value inside warehouse of finished good and also warehouse dedicated to raw materials, so upstream and downstream. So we are going to talk during this webinar, of course, just introducing the subject. Then we are going to talk about the challenge we have identified in logistic on production sites. Okay, so feel free to challenge us. We always discover new things, so we are really open on this. Of course, we are going to present IC because you are also here for that and you want to know more about IC and how it works and how it will help you to leverage your productivity. We are going to talk about the features and the mode of use of IC and why production sites have chosen IC, because of a lot of production sites have chosen IC in the last months. And then, of course, a question and answer session. My name is Clement Roulet. I'm Vice President of Marketing and Growth Development at IC. IC is now a dedicated startup. Maybe you have heard about IC in the past. Now IC is really independent, and I'm also one of the co-founder of the company, and we are really excited to develop this, to scale this with a really interesting and relevant team. So I'm happy to be here. So to start, warehousing interacts upstream and downstream of production plants. So this is a little scheme we have done in order to explain what we have identified. So in the location, the area of the warehouse on industrial sites dedicated to raw materials, they have to organize the stocks, of course. They have to supply the lines, the production lines. They have to communicate the state of the stocks to internal parties, but also to external customers, for example, if this is a 3PL, so an external warehouse, but also to communicate with purchase services in order to supply more raw material, etc. And of course, they have to update their WMS or MES, and they have to communicate once a year at least the stocks, the inventory level to the auditors. And of course, one of the main focus of production site is to avoid raw materials shortage and of course to avoid production interruption. On the other side, so more downstream, we have the warehouses dedicated to finished goods. So their role is really to ship to internal or external customers according to a service level agreement. And so they have to be really focused on this, and the SLA level are really very high for the one we know. So this is the difficult part. Of course, they want to reduce waste and reshipping. And also they have to communicate the inventory level to internal, external customer, but also WMS system and the auditor once a year. Both and we can say all the industrial plant is focused on provide internal or external customer satisfaction to reduce, of course, for the logistic part, the movement. So the less movement we have, the better it is. And of course, to reduce errors and interruptions and to control that, to master this process. And of course, they have to avoid any work-related accidents because of this is one of the main focus, of course. So then, in the end, of course, there is shipment to other logistics centers, warehouses, retailers, or maybe directly to consumers. But most of the time, the storage of finished good, according to our experience, will be connected to other business-to-business relationship, other warehouses. So we have identified logistic pain points on industrial sites. First of all, the status and location of the stock. So sometimes we have incorrect addressing or incorrect check slotting, we can say. Of course, you have pallets that are lost on the warehouse, and this is really an important problem and a very common problem. We have discovered that in the past few years. Of course, sometimes we find a pallet, but it was indicated in the WMS that this pallet was shipped, and so this is not normal, and it means that there is a wrong order that have been shipped. So this is also something we find very often. Sometimes, of course, there is pallets, blocked pallets that we have to control. For example, pallets with less quality or problems, and we have to block. And so you have to check that this pallet haven't been shipped, and this is really important. The second category is about manual inventory activities. So these manual inventory activities have a low productivity. There is a high total cost of inventory. Of course, there is an important environmental impact for the size of lift, the energy consumed, etc., etc., the shipping of the machine, etc. Of course, it generates risk for employees as it is work at height, and so this is risky, especially when you don't follow the standards of the rule, the security rules internally. So this is one of something very really that a lot of industrial plant managers are really focused on this, because this is one of their main I can say care. So we have also, of course, the necessity to interrupt the production during inventory activities, because of if you block your finished good warehouse, of course, you can't produce anymore because there is not any location available. And so this is a problem. And of course, the work arduousness. So this is a repetitive task, and this is difficult to work on this and to be 100% focused and to not generate mistake, because sometimes 6 hours spent and then you are maybe less attentive and you will generate errors. This is normal. This is human. Of course, we have identified external regulation and external parameters that interact with the warehouses. For example, the increase of land cost required storage densification. So a lot of our customers, they need to have warehouses more vertical instead of taking a lot of place on the ground. So this is really a parameter that we take into consideration. And of course, there are new laws, especially in Europe, about land artificialization, new regulation for expansion project. And so this parameter is also increasing the need for densification of the storage. About software and data, of course, we have identified a lot of not easy things, or a lot of things that can be improved. A lot of our customers, they have, or during the past, even now, sometimes they have to do double entry. So they have to enter data in one IT system and in another IT system and in a third IT system. And so it's a source of mistakes, because of course, you have a lot of chance to make an error one time. Of course, they have to do a lot of manual reconciliation of accounting, for example, accounting and logistic inventory data, but also financing, etc., etc. So this is something that we think can be improved. There is also a part on communication and reporting difficult to achieve. For example, a lot of headquarters, they are asking to their production facilities a reporting every week or every month and with a check of each location. But for the logistic side and for the warehouse manager, this is sometimes not feasible because they don't have the time to do that. This is too difficult. There are too many locations, and so this is why this is something we are identifying. Of course, the overuse of spreadsheet, I think this is a common thing. Everybody use spreadsheet, but for stock management, inventory management, of course, this is something we tend to reduce, of course, in every warehouse we are working with. And of course, the manual errors. So the fact that a lot of people can access to the system and modify the data, this is something that can be a source of mistakes. For all these things, we just want to resume that inventory and stock keeping activities, they are of course time consuming. They are not as efficient that they could be, but this is simple things. We just have to check each slot and verify that the correct stock is at this place. This is not something not feasible. This is something we can address. Production is depending on the quality and efficiency of the inventory process. What I want to say is, even if inventory activities are simple and they are not pleasant to realize, this is critical, because if you have wrong data in your system, it will be visible on your production efficiency. And so that is why we wanted to help on this activity, and really IC simplifies those activities, and it allows you to have a more accurate inventory and to have maybe more fluid stream and activity at any moment. And this is now we are going to present a little bit of IC. So what is IC? IC is a drone inventory solution for warehouses organized in pallet racks. Okay, organized in pallet racks. This is important, and composed of several elements. First of all, you have IC drone pack. So IC drone pack is one drone, of course, but with all accessories, IC tags, chargers, batteries, etc., etc., and of course a casing. So we supply everything with the pack. There is no extra to buy. There is a second part, very important. This is IC tablet app. This is an Android application, so this is not a tablet we supply. We supply an Android app. We can supply a tablet, but it is not our main activity. But the most common thing is that you are going to install on your own Android tablet our application. And so this application is used in order to supervise the drone mission and the drone flight, okay? And this is the only control system. We do not provide any remote controller because you don't need to pilot IC. IC is an autonomous drone, okay? It flies automatically in a nail, and especially it flies automatically in one face of a nail, okay? It doesn't fly automatically from one aisle to another aisle. You need a human supervisor in order to do several actions. We are going to detail that just after. The third element part of IC is IC Cloud. So IC Cloud is a cloud in software as a service model, and it's used for administration. So the cartography of your warehouse, the cartography of the faces of each aisle, for phase A, phase B of the aisle 1, etc., etc., etc. And so we include in this the possibility of adding the exact dimensions of each slot, and so the drone will use that in order to fly autonomously. Of course, it will help you to manage the missions. The missions, it's the data I'm looking for on each phases. Okay, so you can custom everything. This is really an easy to use software, and you can change a lot of things and adapt the software to your warehouse, because each warehouse is different, and we have really that in mind. And of course, it will help you to consult the result of each mission and to export the data to your own WMS software. And in the near future, it will be connected to your WMS, or easy to connect with your WMS in order to communicate much more faster. And of course, we deliver associated services such as training, maintenance, support. Everything is included. Really, in our DNA of our new company, we want you to focus on your activity, and we supply everything that you need. Okay, there is no options, etc. Everything is included, so you don't have any problem. Keep one metric in your mind. IC allows one person to scan an average of 500 pallets locations per hour. Okay, 500 pallet location per hour. So it will depend, of course, the size of each location, and it will depend on other parameters, but we very often see 500 pallet location productivity instead of 50 to 100 pallet with 2 people and 1 Saxo lift with the manual inventory. Okay, very good. So I see it's a long story. I'm going to try to short and to simplify this story, but I see it's an idea of Hardy's Group. Hardy's Group, it's a logistic expert. It's a consulting company, digital service and software publisher, and especially WMS known as Reflex WMS. So they have the idea of IC, and they found an engineering office, a designer and manufacturer of drones, of specific drones, and especially autonomous drones, which is Squadron System. Squadron System is really a drone expert, and they are focused on industrial, logistic, and defense drones. And so they work together, and then now we have revealed IC on a product version. So this is a CE market version. Okay, so this is not a prototype. This is really a product, and this is available. And so we have now a lot of different steps during the development, R&D, etc., etc. We can say that this is the 10th version of the product, of the hardware, and now this is really mature, and that's why we have created a new company, and I am part of this new company, which this new company is Darwin Drone. Okay, Darwin Drone is really focused on IC, and focus on IC relationship with the customer, and so we are here from the beginning to the end of the project. And for the use of IC, we help our customer to attend the best performance with the hardware and software. So what's IC? Just a very quick video. Maybe you have seen that on our different media. So IC is really something that helps logistic workers to improve their stock accuracy. It scans 1D and 2D code, everything on full width. Okay, so even in motion, and it detects empty location automatically thanks to sensors dedicated to that at the front of the drone. So we are going to go to the front of the drone. So we have 3 Zebra barcode readers, because of it reads very well. This is really efficient. We have an HD camera and also ultrasonic sensors. Every data of every sensor is sent to our autopilot. This is our own autopilot. Okay, we master the hardware and the software we have with our partners, and so that's why it flies autonomously. There are a lot of sensors, a lot of technology on this. This is not the subject today, but if you have any question, feel free. So this is easy to use, and this is compatible with all WMS and ERP with import, export feature, okay, from IC Cloud, and we are working on API in order to simplify this. Of course, it's detect obstacles, okay, and this is really safe. If there is any wrong behavior of the drone or anything that is not well before starting a mission, the drone won't allow takeoff. Okay, so this is really something very robust, and we have worked and we are working very hard in order to help you using that as easy as possible. The feature, so I just come back on this point. So 1D and 2D barcode reading, detection of empty and full locations, automatic flight in a logistic aisle, obstacle detection. We take pictures of each location. We can take one or several. Okay, everything is customizable. Even the code you want to scan, you can really look only for one code of 9 digits starting by 52. Okay, this is okay. We are going to scan only this. Or you can be more open. This is the interface, the graphic interface you can see on the app. So as you can see, there are not a lot of buttons. You can interrupt the mission here. You can pause the mission here. And for example, declare a point of interest. We are going to see that in a few minutes. And this is a hard stop. So this is something to use only in case of emergency and very high emergency. And as you can see, you see live what sees the drone, okay, and it's scanned in motion. How does it work? So this is not 3D anymore. This is a real video, okay, with Regis from our team. Hello, Regis. So how does it work? So everything is in the box, okay, is in the case. So you have the drone, all accessories, etc. It's really easy to transport. You have 2 IC tags, and I will pause on this because it is important. We have 2 IC tags mandatory to use the drone. You have to put one tag at the beginning of the aisle and one other at the end of the aisle. And there is also a Wi-Fi router here. And so we are not connected to your Wi-Fi. We are just using our local network. And so this router will be connected to the Android tablet, to the Android app, and to the drone, okay? And this is really a closed network. Then you put the second one, you install the drone in front of the first location of the mission. So it can be most of the time at the beginning on the ground at left. And then you insert the battery, you power on the drone, you select a mission relative to where you are located. You can visualize the mission before doing it. You can, for example, cancel the level 0 because of everything is in picking, so you don't want to check that, or you can cancel, for example, the last level. You can do a lot of things in the warehouse, and of course you have prepared that, or your manager have prepared that on IC Cloud previously. So here you can see you just have to press a button in order to launch a mission, and that's it. The drone will take off and start its missions. Okay, you can fly for 2 hours with the included set of batteries we supply with the drone, and then it avoids you to use any sensor lift in order to do your inventory check. As you can see here, we don't scan all codes. We scan only the code we are looking for. You can see where you are on the tablet. Here you can see that we are going to detect an empty location. The drone, it's really easy how it works. It detects automatically if there is something in front of it. So if the location is empty, the drone won't look for any code. But if the drone do not detect something, he's going to look for the code you are looking for, or the category of code you are looking for. There is also additional features. For example, if I pause, the drone will stop, and then you have a little menu, okay? And you can declare, for example, specific point of interest, such as I have identified a problem on my rack, or I have identified another problem of category 1, category 2, or anything, okay? And so you can declare that. At the end of the mission, you will have a resume of at which location what have been declared. Okay, so you have a view of the stock and a view of the point of interest. Here, as you can check, it is another button. This is a redo button. So when we cannot scan, for example, something at the location, there is a missing code or anything, you can just touch this button and the drone will repeat its movement. And it can be also do in auto mode, so you don't have to push the button. If there is a no scan, the drone will start another time, and of course it will reduce the speed in order to have the best chance to scan. So we can continue the mission. At the end of the mission, or when the drone is out of battery, he will land automatically and display the information on the tablet. And here, for example, you are going to see the result live in the warehouse, and so you can act directly. So this is an inventory that have been performed in expected mode. So we have injected the expected data from the WMS into the tablet, and we are just checking if there is difference between the expected data and the reality. So that's why you have red and green. Okay, so this is the view of a barcode, this is the view of the stock, and then you are going to see the view of the point of interest, the manual declaration during the flight. So here, Raxing, etc. Here you can have a qualitative explanation of everything. So you can have here a picture. Okay, this palette is here. I understand, etc. Okay, so this is really something important, to have reliable inventory data. You can do that in expected or blind inventory. This is autonomous flight. You don't have to work at height anymore, and you have dedicated safety features. And of course, you don't need to be a telepilot because of it is in indoor, and so the regulation and the regulation standard, the European regulation standard, do not apply in indoor. Of course, we are really vigilant on this, and we are compliant with all industrial standards that we have identified. We had to, okay, for magnetic, electromagnetic, for everything, okay, and that's why we are CE market now product. So how does it work? You don't need to add any infrastructure or any label on any slot. Okay, everything is put in the software. So you just have, for example, to add the dimensions of your face. So for example, if we take here, okay, here it's 150 centimeters, okay, from the ground. Here it's 250. Here it's 550. Okay, it's an example. Here is the width of each column. So here is, for example, it's 90 centimeters, 90 centimeters, 90 centimeters. Okay, and so in the software we see a kind of matrix with just dimensions, etc. The drone will know at any time its distance from the ground, thanks to LiDAR integrated in the drone. Okay, I have lost my mouse, but it's okay. So you will know at any time the distance from the ground, and of course the position from left to right, thanks to the tags, and of course thanks to the ultrasonic sensors at the front of the drone. The drone is very well positioned, and especially the yaw of the drone. Okay, thanks to the ultrasonic. If there are maybe some drone fans or drone experts in the room, so this is how it works, and so the drone knows that it is at a certain location, and so he's going to say, okay, this location is empty or this location is full, and I have found this code and this code as you wanted. So we don't need any infrastructure. So that's why this is pretty fast to deploy, even in old warehouses, new warehouses. We just have to be eligible to our solution, and you can use it. Mode of use. So you can do blind inventory, so without target quantity or without any code injected in the mission. You can do expected, so verification of difference between the theoretical inventory and the scan locations. Here you can see the automatic flight plan generator. Okay, so as our software know the cartography of each aisle, then we know we are in this phase, VB5002. Okay, this is the acquisition group that we select. So we want to take one picture, we want to have a point of interest, we want to scan one SSCC and a second SSCC and to take two other pictures. It's okay. We can have different acquisition group depending on the aisle we are, or maybe on the process you want to apply on your warehouse at this stage. You can really play with a lot of parameters, and then it will generate an automatic flight plan, and so the drone will follow this. I said just before that you can exclude for a full level. For example, here we can exclude the top level and exclude the level 0. But if we want, then we can re-include it if, for example, we use it because we are really full in our warehouse at this time. You can control, for example, also one location. If you just want to control one blocked pallet or anything, you can use it as a sisal lift instead of using your sisal lift. So you can control and you can consult the result of each mission, of course, on the tablet, on IC Cloud, and of course, import it in your WMS ERP. We are using CSV export at the moment and working on the API integrations. Here we can see we do a little zoom on the mission result with expected inventory. So as you can see here, it's a real mission, okay, anonymous, but this is really a real mission. So as you can see, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 level, and everything is green except certain location in red. For example, this one, CO2 3005, CO2, the expected data was this. What have been scanned is this. And so this is why this is red. This is just because of there is a mistake. This is not the expected palette at this location. So we can click on it and we can have the qualitative information. We have several pictures, so we can, this is this one, the location, this is below. And of course, this is the screenshot, so I can't change the picture, but you can see the number of pictures and so have a visualization. Here we have a code. So we don't really need the picture, but if we have a no scan, for example, we can check if there is a code or if there is maybe a damage or anything on the pallets that can explain why it doesn't scan. So now we just have to export the red, and so we can go to correct the mistake in our WMS. We go back to the thematic of today. It's the finished good warehouses and why they are moving to IC. So this is an overview of customer feedback we had. So the solution is really adapted for warehouse of finished good because of a lot of finished good warehouse are composed of 100% of rack. And they have fixed quantities. So 100% fixed quantities, they have full pallet or other stock keeping units, such as big bags, IBC, I don't know, anything, big things. And so this is why we cover a really important proportion of the stock on finished good product. And so we can reduce one big pain point. There is no picking activity. And as we are not compliant with picking activity, this is why we are really focused on 100%. On finished good warehouses, and this is very often organized in large handling unit or full handling unit. So you use it only with forklift. Okay, you don't do picking activities. And as we said just before, this is because this is compliant with old and new warehouses, and of course it can be adapted. For example, you can move the drone from the finished good warehouse to the raw material warehouse, even if maybe you have to control a little bit less the raw materials. This is your process. I don't know. You can use, if you want, 50-50 or 90-10, but really this flexibility is very appreciated by our customer. And so this parameter allow our customer to switch to cycle counting inventory. It means they stop the interruption for their annual fiscal inventory or for their customer. If they are a 3PL, for example, doing the inventory or if this is an external inventory. Of course, they are going to communicate more reliable data internally and externally for the WMS, for the EDI customer, for the auditor. Okay, everything will be more correct and more often. So instead of having one update once a year, here you are more focused on efficiency, on the daily efficiency. So it will improve inventory accuracy all along the year. So the slotting, the quantities, the losses, and so it will allows to detect maybe upstream the error and then anticipate the errors and fixing the errors before this is costly problem downstream. Of course, it helps our customer to reduce the financial, human, and the equipment resource used for inventory. We say bye-bye to rented Sisal-Lift. So you are going to use less Sisal-Lift, but of course, it is also sometimes this is useful to go human at the top, but it will really help to reduce this. It will reduce the risk in the workplace, and of course, to be more compliant with corporate sustainable responsibility, or with, for example, regulation about safety or regulation about our environment, etc., etc. And it will help you to reduce the environmental impact of the inventory activity. Just the fact of renting a Sisal-Lift, this is transported with big trucks, and each Sisal-Lift is maybe 2 tons. So this is quite huge. Our drone is less than 2 kilograms. I think it's 1.6 kilogram. So of course we are going to consume less energy, and that is why we have been granted for the environmental progress we offer by the French national ADEME, and they support us, and we thank them, and we are going to do more in order to help logistic workers and logistic sites to reduce their environmental impact. So this is why our customer love IEC, and I will try to accelerate a little bit. For example, L'Oreal cosmetic active production, they are on this use case. In the past, they were using 10 Sisal-Lift, and they mobilized almost all the staff from the office, the technical, the operator, everybody was on the ground in order to do the fiscal inventory. And so they had to close the logistics site for 3 days, and even, of course, the production for 3 days. And now with IEC, they are moved to cycle counting. And so now they can do more than 4 controls each year of each location, okay? And they are only using the drone for less than 2 hours a week, okay? And so they have a really, really accurate WMS data, and they have reduced the error, and they are maybe at more than 99.8 accuracy in their WMS. So we thank them. They are our customers since a long time. On the prototype, as you can see, this is the prototype, and now they are moved to the new CE marked version. And so we thank them to be to trust us and to help us improve our solution. We have other testimony, for example, the logs. This is the same position in the value chain. They have a finished good warehouse, a warehouse dedicated to a finished good, okay, for production. And this is quite the same metric and things they have put in place, cycle counting, but for their customer. And of course, lower logistic, of course, they are exactly in the same context, finished good warehouse dedicated to a customer. And so they have improved that, and they have stopped the interruption of the production. And this is something really differentiating for 3PL to say to its customer, okay, with us, you don't have to stop your production for our inventory. Feel free if you have any question. I just want to move to the deployment in only 3 steps. So as we say just before, there is no need for any infrastructure, and so we just have to check the eligibility. This is the step 0, we can say, validate the eligibility. So there are few criteria such as less than 15 meters of height for the fly. There are, of course, the aisle width of a minimum of 185 centimeters, okay, approximately 2 meters. This is the best. And of course, at the moment, we are working exclusively on positive temperature environment. We are doing some robustness test in negative temperature. Maybe we will open that in the coming months or years, but at the moment, we are only open to positive temperature. Then after we have configured your warehouse with you, okay? You are going to do your own cartography, and so you master the process. You can make your process evolve as your warehouse will evolve. We are going to train your team, so on all the tools I have presented, so IC tablet, IC Cloud, IC Drone, you are going to be able to use everything. And of course, there are different level of access and permission. And then you will be able to use the drone. So few days of project in order to deploy IC in your site. We have a pilot project test offer. So I can resume that on 2 days on your site, all included. We come and we are going to perform one inventory of one phase, and we do everything. Our team do everything, the cartography, etc., etc. We just need a technical guy in front of us on your side in order to discuss with and to exchange a little bit of dimension, a little bit of fight. And this is a first day of testing and the second day of demo. And this is really a very appreciated offer, so feel free to ask anything about this. And then we offer 2 business model. Since just before the summer, we have introduced the drone as a service model. So it's like a rental. Okay, this is not inventory as a service. This is drone as a service. So you are going to use the drone. We are not going to your site and make your drone fly. And we can talk about that, of course, if you want, on face-to-face meeting, but everything is including on the purchase model, and everything is including the drone as a service model. So thank you very much for your attention. I think